Everybody. Welcome to our May 22nd public hearing meeting. Could I have a pledge of allegiance, please?
We don't have that on there. You just go.
I left it, I'm sorry. I left it on the one that's on their screen.
Oh.
So we don't have to? Okay.
So
You don't
you
have
can skip it or you can do it, doesn't make any difference.
Why don't we pass? Could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Navarella?
Here.
Mr. Moffett? Mr. Bell?
Here.
Mr. Turner?
Here.
Mr. Eichfelder?
Here.
Ms. Tillerson?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
This is a public hearing to discuss ordinance 2023-07, an ordinance to adopt the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget for the town, July 1st, 23 through June 30th, 2024. So the meeting will now be open for public comments.
Yes, and I think Ms. Schubert wanted to give a short presentation before we open it up for public comment. If that's okay. We're not going into the public hearing at this time. Ms. Schubert, do you want to go ahead and?
Yes, yes, good morning. And I do have a short presentation to maybe Petra, if you don't mind just putting it on. But our budget for next year, we're projecting a excess of expenditures over revenues of about 2.2 million. And our revenues are, and our budget, what's is important to understand that our budget is on a cash basis. And for the revenues, we are projecting about 14.6 million, which is about 6% less than our current projections for this year, and 5% less than our projections for this year, or 6% less than last year revenues. And right there you see like a visual of where the money comes from, where we're getting our revenues. Our biggest is accommodation taxes and business licenses. Petra, if you move it to the next slide, that would be great. And I tried to explain those major variances just to see how why the money is, why we earning less money. Or one big variance that I want to point out is our interest revenue. Since last year, the interest rates increased significantly, about 400 basis points. So that's a really big jump in the revenues. As far as expenditures, Petra, if you move it back to the next slide, please. Okay, perfect. As far as the expenditures, we are projecting about 16.8 million in expenditures. Of that amount, we do have a big placeholder, 5 million for a beach walker project. The total expenditures are about 7 million more, or 74% more than last year actuals, or about 6.5 million more than projected for this year. But again, this is the main factor for that is the 5 million placeholder for the capital project. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I have a question, Dorota.
Yes, sir.
So I was reminded during our recent podcast with Roger Warren from the resort, he was explaining how exceptionally business is currently for the resort, and at very high levels for this year so far. We do plan on the income side, when it comes to the accommodation tax, only a relatively small increase. Those two things seem to be not aligned yet.
So we do again, maybe it's because it's, you know, we try to be conservative, and I know the business is going very well, but I also, when I spoke to people from the resort, I don't think the levels, the occupancy rates are not as high as they were right after COVID or the COVID years. So we do, you know, the increase, I'm actually, it's mostly attributable to an increase in prices too. But I don't think, I mean, I don't know what Mr. Warren said exactly, but I don't think they have more tourists than they had 2 years ago or last year. But I felt like just looking at what we have collected through, you know, through this year to compare to last year, we are pretty much on the same level as it was last year to date. So I feel like,
Can I
you
jump
know,
in?
being conservative.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll jump in with that. So as you guys recall, I'm not sure if you were part of this, I guess you weren't last year. So when you approved the budget, which essentially will be done in July, done in June, become effective July 1, we typically do a mid-year review, and the questions you have with regards to accommodation tax. If we need to adjust it, that's when we do the adjustments, when we do the mid-year review of the budget.
Okay. But what Dorota just said is that on a comparable basis, year over year, we actually even. So that's so maybe we are not so far away from. Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Dorota, going back kind of to the narrative highlights on the revenues, you indicate that 2024 budget revenues are expected to be about $950,000 lower than the current year. But the only of the items listed, only one that shows a decline year over year is building permits by about $300,000. Then you have business licenses increasing $100,000, and most of the other line items increasing. So you add those all up, it's about a push between offsetting the building permits. So what accounts for the remainder of the lower revenue?
So this year we also received $440,000 in this American Rescue Plan. That was the last tranche of 880 that we got from the government. So, you know, 450 we're not going to receive. That was just a one-time revenue this year that we're not receiving. So between that and the lower permits in both special projects and just regular permits pretty much account for that decrease. Does that answer
There's a
the question?
There's a spreadsheet that should be in one of the packets. I'm not sure if it was this packet, but one of your prior packets that details all of the changes.
Well, does that make sense though? Because 440 and 500 between permits and the American Rescue Plan makes up the difference in the
Not
revenues.
entirely, or not entirely, but almost. Yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions of Dorota?
If not, then you.
Okay, could I have a motion to go into public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're open for public hearing, public comments. We are live, so
We are.
just to let everybody know, there's no one here.
And I can say that after first reading, a number of people came to first reading and they asked questions. After first reading, I confirmed with Dorota Schubert, we didn't receive any comments via email, but we have second reading in June, which is another opportunity for the public to comment on the budget.
First reading was May 2nd, so this is public hearing May 22nd, and the second reading will be June 6th. So please let us know if you have any questions. Oh, you're not receiving anything from Anybody?
We don't have a way for people to comment via live stream, so we've asked them to send us comments in advance, or they were able to come to the meeting today. But
Okay.
if they have, after today's discussion, if they have any comments, they can come to our June meeting
Okay.
and have comments in a public comment.
Motion to adjourn, or motion to come out of the public hearing.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, we have to